Hi everyone, we just continue with our presentation of our course overview. Last time we said that this course divides into three main chapters. The first chapter is historical linguistics. The second chapter is the sign is as shape and sound, and the third main chapter is semantics. We have just decided to deal with the first and second chapter superficially, but we are going to go in depth, let's say, with the third chapter because it is of particular importance to students. We think that meaning is so much importance in the study of language. That's our personal point of view as teachers and researchers. So, as diagram for the overall presentation of the course, so we got linguistics and as a discipline, and linguistics started both as traditions and uh, as let's say folklore in some societies, and it developed into a discipline. Um, First, we got historical linguistics and the idea of the sign, the idea of language as a sign, and in semiotics we speak about a sign and standing for something else. So, language is about semiotic relationship between a word and a concept that it stands for. Then in historical linguistics we got the idea of diachronic approach to language. In diachronic approach to language, we study language change, how language changes, how some features that which were dealt with, which were characterizing language a time ago disappeared and were substituted by other forms. So this is the main aspect of, let's say, the main concern, the study aim of diachronic approach and hence of historical linguistics. So the study of language change through time, as opposed to synchronic approaches. So that's we're going to see. This is a turning point in the direction of linguistics. So in synchronic approach, we study language as it is. So this is a kind of criticism, a kind of a downside identified in the diachronic approach. The idea is that we must not remain concerned with language. I mean, how the older state of language compared to the present state of language. Language does what it does. Language speaks. Language means, and as we are concerned with, rather we better have to be concerned with how language does what it does. How language influences. How language mainly manipulates, and that's um, I mean, this is a fashion mode in the study of language, in the pragmatics and discourse analysis. The reason why we try to focus mainly on semantics rather than the first or second chapter. Then we mentioned that the second chapter we're going to deal with the sign, and the sign we identified four main aspects, all concerned with the sign as shape and sound. We idealize language as sign and shape and sound. So because it's written and spoken, morphology deals with the structure of the word. So it is an aspect of the sign from a minimal level, and syntax deals with the structure of the sentence. So it is a kind of shape at a global, at larger level. Phonology and phonetics are respectively dealing with the sound variations, and sound physiology. Now, in the second or in third main chapter, which is about meaning, we study semantics and pragmatics. Semantics is the study of the dictionary meaning, and the dictionary meaning is a kind of meaning which is conventional, which is frequent, and which is, let's say, established by common sense. Pragmatics, however, is more individual, it is relative, and it is context sensitive. So, pragmatics in the establishment of the pragmatic meaning, so many variables interfere. So we got the idea of context. Context is private knowledge. Context as shared knowledge, and context as knowledge which is established throughout the conversation. Semantics deals um, with the idea of sense relations, where we identify or try to define a word. I mean, use another word. For example, we identify, let's say, an apple with a fruit. A fruit is a general noun, and an apple is the specification of the fruit. The semantic has got to do with the relationship between words. For example, a general specific between, let's say, a word that is opposite, between a synonym and a near synonym. So this is basically how we are going to proceed throughout this course, and we are going to see as well some more detailed contents. We got with background. In the first chapter, we're going to see the background on language and linguistics, where we trace the development and inception of linguistics as a discipline. We're going to see how earliest traditions, earliest civilization, earliest societies locate language and the importance given to language, the diverse and different importance given to language by different societies. So we're going to focus on linguistics as a discipline, then the scope of historical linguistics, the notion of change, earliest forms, language families, society linguistics, where we introduce the notion of sound, and we got the modularity of linguistics, because this also represented linguistics as a discipline which has to be separate from other disciplines, where linguistics was always another time presented in connecting with other disciplines, like in the Greek philosophy, where language and the mind, language and nature, language and God, language and divinity, all these questions were posed in Greek philosophy. In the second chapter, we're going to see the side, shape and sound, phonetics, phonology, morphology and syntax. In the third chapter, we detail the idea of semantics. Um, Within linguistics, semantics is a kind of in the branch of language which is dealt with meaning. Okay, in addition to pragmatics, we're going to see aspect kinds of meaning, or distinguish pragmatics from semantics. I'm going to see the concept, naming, sense relations, synonyms, antonyms, polysemy, and hyponymy. All these are essentially relations used by dictionary makers to make meaning more and more clear for those sorts of dictionaries. So that's it for this overview presentation of the course. Okay, bye bye.